Shonen anime is a type of media that is filled with cliches. If you look deep enough, any kind of media has its character archetypes, conventions, and standard plot points. What's funny about shonen anime, however, is just how unashamedly in your face they are. The conventions of shonen are, to put it in a very distinct way, very meme-worthy and expected. You know there's gonna be a training arc. You know there's a good chance of a tournament arc. You know that the father of the protagonist was/is probably some kind of big shot. A lot of people claim that these conventions are too formulaic, that it makes watching shonen anime predictable and boring. But I already have a video to talk about how the stereotypes of anime should not deter you from enjoying it. So let's move on. Because what I want to talk about today is something that often goes unnoticed when talking about conventions and cliches. How they create great opportunities for groundbreaking craft in media. Think about it. When you go to any kind of media that has a lot of conventions, you start watching it and thinking, okay, this is gonna happen, and then this, and then blah 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 blah. In any genre that you have been watching for a long enough time, you will have that feeling. You might not care about it, but you will notice it. And that's why when something breaks these unwritten rules, it becomes something very special. Imagine you're watching a superhero movie. You expect that in the end the heroes will triumph and the bad guy will fall. So how would you react if the villain was the one to win in the end? And I'm talking win-win scenario, not a oh they lost here but there's a sequel scenario. How would you react? It would create an experience of interest surprise, but not only because the villain won, but because that was not your expectation. And so that's what I want to say. The cliche is not inherently bad. It can be enjoyable in its own right, but it creates the opportunity to break away from it, and if that is done well, you can have an incredible story in your hands. And today, since we're talking about shonen anime, because I like it, we'll be talking about a series that I feel does this like few others. Hunter x Hunter. Hunter vs. Hunter is one of those series whose plot is hard to describe, because in doing so you lose a lot of the interesting elements that makes the series what it is. But I'll try anyway. It basically tells the story of Gon, a young boy who is on a quest to find his dad, and for that decides to become a hunter, a person who hunts for something in life. It can be hunting down criminals, looking for exotic food ingredients, treasures, mystical places, anything. In that quest, he meets 3 other people, Killua, Leorio, and Kurapika, each one of them with their goals and motivations. Leorio, for example, wants to become a doctor to treat the poor due to the trauma of losing a dear friend to a curable yet expensive to treat disease. The 4 of them meet at the initial arc of the series, the Hunter exam, which is a series of tests in which the people who pass get a Pro Hunter license, a document given by the Organization of Professional Hunters which gives you access to all kinds of things and places. After the exam is done, they go their separate ways, agreeing to meet in September the 1st at the city of Yorkshin. In this initial arc, you can already see something that this series has a knack to do, subverting the conventions of shonen, because it ends with a short tournament arc, something that sounds like your standard shonen arc, but that has a twist. The person who advances in the tournament is the one who loses the fight, with the winner obtaining the prize everyone is looking for, meaning that there will be only one loser in the end. To make this work, you obviously can't kill your opponent, so there's the extra rule of not being allowed to kill, with the one who disobeys this being the only participant to be disqualified. You see how much more interesting and innovative this scenario is? The subversion of the basic principles of the standard tournament arc is on the core of what makes it so interesting. And Hunter multiplied by Hunter is full of those moments, and contrary to parody, who subverts the whole genre by pointing, twisting, and mocking their conventions, Hunter x Hunter is wholeheartedly shonen, unashamedly using its conventions, but adding to them via innovative change. And now I want to talk about the instance where I feel the series does this the best, the Yorkshin Arc. As said before, our four protagonists flock to this city, each one for a different reason. The main focus of the arc, it can be said, is the character of Kurapika, the sole survivor of a small tribe called the Kurtas, who were brutally murdered by a group of thieves called the Phantom Troop, or Riordan in Japanese, which is how I'll refer to them mostly from now on, even if my pronunciation is wrong, because I think it sounds better. Anyway, the reason why the Riordan killed Kurapika's tribe was because the members of said tribe are born with a unique characteristic. When they get into a state of excitement, be it through anger, adrenaline rush, or fear, their eyes, normally brown, turn scarlet. And if you kill a kurta while his or her eyes are red, the corpse will remain with the scarlet eyes, who are said to be one of the 7 most beautiful objects in the world, and so worth a lot of money in the black market. The Riordan killed and removed the eyes of every single person Kurapika had ever known or cared about. And so, he has 2 missions. 1. Retrieve the eyes of his comrades, and 2. Exterminate the Riordan. To achieve his goal, Kurapika knows that becoming a pro hunter would help a lot, and after receiving information during the hunter exam that the Phantom Troop would be in Yorkshin in September for the Great Mafia Auction, basically a gala ball of the underworld where all kinds of rarities are auctioned, he decides to go there as a bodyguard for one of the smaller mafia families. So this is the setup, a quest for revenge against a dangerous and macabre group of murderous thieves. Alongside this main event, Gon, Killua, and Leorio are there doing their own thing. Initially, that is. Out of the main actors for this stage, we already know the 4 protagonists of the show, but we are yet to see the Riordan. Throughout the earlier episodes, we only hear tales about the troop. They are clearly very dangerous, and considering what they did to Kurapika's tribe, heartless bastards. And that's why it is such a shock when we finally meet them. Yes, they are merciless and violent killers, but they also joke with one another. They play cards together, they get excited in a genuine way about the next job, and even want to partake in meaningless activities such as arm wrestling contest, just because it's fun and they want the prize. But most surprising of all, they truly care for one another. They get devastated when one of their members die. This is a subversion of your standard shonen villain. How can people that commit such acts be so playful and so tender with one another? The standard shonen villain cares about no one and uses their comrades and minions only as a means to their selfish end. And it's not like the Riordan aren't evil, because if I haven't made myself clear by now, the Riordan are not only merciless but cruel. When I told you guys the story of Kurapika, I did not go into details, but they did not just murder his tribe. The more angry, fearful a kurta is, the brighter and purer the red in their eyes will be, and so much more expensive in the black market. Therefore, to do just that, the Riordan tortured the person dearest to the victim in front of them, while forcing their eyes open. And so children were tortured in front of their parents, wives in front of their husbands. The Pinnacle of Cruelty took place. How can people so evil also be so compassionate with one another? How can they do what they do in cold blood and have such innocent joy? That is the first ingredient of subversion in this arc. That is what makes the Riordan such a compelling group of antagonists. And while we see the actions of the Riordan, we also watch Kurapika's descent into this dark revenge. He wants to murder the Riordan, and he thinks he will do no matter what takes to do it. And he even manages to kill one of those members. And this killing escalates the conflict. Now it's not just one rogue member of the troop looking for Kurapika, but the whole troop. And so, somewhat reluctantly, Kurapika accepts the help of his 3 friends from the exam and of his newly found allies from the bodyguard guild to fight the Riordan. It is here that the greatest writing of this arc occurs. Now the friends of Kurapika join the task. So imagine with me, what shonen trope would you expect to happen right now? If you answered the power of friendship, you would be right on the dot. It would be the easy shonen way out to just have Kurapika be in a tight spot against the troop and then through the power of friendship get out of it. But if Hunter x Hunter had done that, I would not be making this video right now. Because that is not the route taken by author Yoshihiro Togashi. No, he opts to have Kurapika's friends being a force not to enact his revenge. People that try to help him, but to keep him away from a dark path, while simultaneously being of vital help to him. So Kurapika does draw from the power of friendship in this arc, but it's not a surge of determination and power. It is how it really works in life. The people who you have special bonds with will support you and help you, but only to do what is best for you. And so Kurapika eventually presses the pause button on his quest to exterminate the Riordan and decides to focus on retrieving the eyes of his brethren. He puts fighting in the background and focuses on doing what is best for the ones he loved. Now, how non-shonen is this phrase I just spoke? To give up fighting because of the power of friendship, the usual fuel for fights in shonen, that is something that always had my attention in this arc. So the use of the power of friendship in this arc is incredible. The connections Kurapika has made coming to assist him in a unexpected way. However, this is not something exclusively done in this series. Other series have made the same mechanism of having the bonds of a character be the source of strength, without the big surge in power. And as any media is most often not about the what, but about the how, there are those who do it just as well as Hunter x Hunter, even though this one is my favorite. What is unique here, however, is the parallel between the use of this idea with our protagonist versus what happens to our antagonists. For you see, normally when you have a protagonist whose support comes from his friends, the connections he has made, the author presents us with the antagonist as a contrast. The antagonist is normally the opposite, someone who does not believe that having relationships can be a source of strength, but rather of weakness. And so the villain either acts alone or with complete disregard to the people that are with him or her. And the Riordan is exactly not that. Rather than being a contrast to Kurapika, they are his mirror. They are all strong on their own, sure, but it is their care for one another that acts as a strength that protects the troop more than their individual might. In this arc, there's a character with the power to predict the future with 100% accuracy, though you can use this prediction to change said future. The Riordan uses this power to know their futures, and if they went on with their business as usual, Kurapika would have killed half of them according to the foretold fortune. Crucially though, the leader of the troop would survive and reign supreme according to the prediction. And yet, this leader decides to take action to avoid the loss of his comrades, and in taking that action he gets himself captured. Again, how non-shonen is that? If the leader of an evil organization was on the ropes, but could sacrifice a few of his peers to win, you would think that he would do just that. And yet, Kurolo, the leader of the troop, does not. And while he is captured, by talking to Kurapika, Chrollo finds out that Kurapika cares more about assuring that his friends who were captured by the Riordan be saved than actually killing the thieves. Chrollo was not expecting this weakness from Kurapika, and so he sees clearly what will happen right now. Kurapika and the troop arrange an exchange of hostages. They give Gon and Killua back. Kurapika lets Chrollo go. And for the leader of the troop, what his peers should do is obvious. They should all show up despite Kurapika's warning that only one member is allowed to come. And so, with all of them there, they should overwhelm the Kurta survivor and kill him, even if that would certainly kill Chrollo. The leader is confident that the troop will do just that. They will sacrifice him even though he could not do it to them. His reasoning that it would be losing too many members formally, something that would not happen if only he is the sacrifice. But even though some members were willing to forfeit Chrollo's life, there were those who could not do it, and so they decide to agree to Kurapika's terms, the life of their companions being more important to them than their own objectives. Just as Kurapika thought he would not put something ahead of his priorities, but ends up prioritizing his friends, Chrollo thought the troop wouldn't put anything ahead of their objectives, but they end up prioritizing his life. The parallel between Kurapika and the troop is something exceptionally well done. It is a story of how we may have our goals in life, but that without the ones we love, all those goals, all these achievements would be pointless. And that is something very cliche, but the way this arc showcases it to us is incredible. The subversion of this arc elevates it above many other shonen stories, filling us with meaningful messages that uses cliches but that does not feel like it. And that is why I like this arc and its subversions so much. Thanks for watching, and until the next one.